New York provides you with so much anonymity, and the subway is a space that counters that. I'm Nadja Spiegelman. I'm the author of Lost in NYC, a subway adventure. I'm recording this in May of 2020. I'm in Connecticut. I'm far away from the city. I miss taking the subway, and I wish that that was something that we could all still do. When I was growing up in New York, I loved the subway in part because it was my key to freedom. It was the way that I could travel around on my own and go to playdates. It opened up the entire city to me. And another thing that felt very emotionally true to me about New York and that I was thinking about as I was working on the book was the specific kind of loneliness that you can feel when you're surrounded by other people, a specific kind of loneliness surrounded by strangers. And so the character Pablo is new to the city, and he insists that he doesn't want friends because he's moved around so much. And his field trip partner, Alicia, really wants to be his friend. And for me, the turning point in the story is him sort of realizing that, like, there are so many people and yet he's alone. And maybe it could be nice to have a friend. And maybe that is something that could make this place feel like home. One of my favorite games to play when I'm riding the subway is to listen to the conversations of the people behind me and to try really, really hard to imagine exactly what they look like and what they're wearing, and not let myself turn around to look at them until I have a very clear mental picture. And every time I do and I turn around, I'm always completely wrong and completely surprised, because New York, even though it gets represented over and over and over again in culture, isn't a place of archetypes and stereotypes. It's a place of stunning individuality and specificity. One of the things that I really love about comics is their ability to plunge you into a world that can be imaginative and abstract and yet nearly architectural in its precision. And it's also something I loved about working with Sergio, was the way that he was able to capture these very accurate depictions of every subway station that these characters move through, and also capture them in a sort of impossible imaginative space where it cuts across different strata of the city, so you can see above ground and below ground at the same time, making it almost more real than real. There's one scene in which the characters are on a subway car and the different panels are divided by the actual subway poles themselves, so the subway poles become the divider between the panels. I loved that kind of playfulness. This book didn't come from a formal place, but there's definitely a formal way of talking about it. The way that it uses space is so interesting. I got to do a reading of this book at the New York Transit Museum. And all of the kids in attendance knew the subway system and knew the specific subway stations being drawn in each panel almost more specifically than I did. And we're so excited to be like, oh yes, the stairs are there. That is where the pole is. That track does have that kind of signage. And that precision is one of the great joys of this book.